Good afternoon, everyone, and a special welcome to our new and continuing students. I see some of you out there with your blue jackets on, so I want to, again, a special welcome also to our new Huizenga Academy students and the Legacy Shark Cage students. So this is your first opportunity to interact with one of our distinguished entrepreneurial leaders in the community. I don't want to take much time. I just want to say that one of the advantages of attending the Huizenga College of Business and Entrepreneurship, if you will regularly and frequently have the opportunity to interact with some of the nation's leading business leaders and entrepreneurs, and tonight is your first opportunity this year. We're fortunate to have Mr. Rob Kornahrens with us this evening. Now, I know that we have sent out numerous brochures and you've seen posters with his background, and I'm sure he will talk about his experiences this evening. So I'm not going to take any more time, but I'd like for you to help me welcome Mr. Rod Kornahrens.
All right, thank you. Let me just, can everybody hear me? The volume okay? Okay, great. Yeah, you know, I saw the poster myself and I was kind of shocked, you know. First of all, if you notice, if you noticed, you know, that picture was December, 2 months before I got married. You'll notice one thing, you know, that things happen after you get married. You kind of go back to your old ways. So anyway, proud to be here. The other thing that I saw when I turned on 30th Street off University was my picture on this big digital thing. I almost hit the guy in front of me. So they really made a lot of this tonight. I'm really not that big of a person. When I got the call for the Wayne Huizenga Award, I knew Wayne. I looked down the hallway. I know probably 50% of those in the business community. I'm just a guy from Long Island that worked on the roof, went through college, paying my way, working on the roof, and started a roofing company. I'd like to start with the video that they made. It's a 5-6 minute video. And it really kind of gives you a flavor of where we are today. And this award, like I told my associates and my people at work, this is a company award. So I'm going to play the video that they played for, and they made and played for me at the reception. I knew I had a desire as a business major to possibly own my own business. So I actually borrowed $15,000 from my dad in 1983. I bought a pickup truck and said, I'm going to do this. Hi, I'm Rob Kornahrens, President and CEO of Advanced Roofing, Inc.
Rob Kornahrens, the youngest of 4 boys, was born in Long Island, New York, in the small town of Massapequa. His father was a manufacturer of airplane refueling equipment who Rob credits with influencing him with a strong work ethic. His mother was a homemaker who taught him kindness and to live by the mantra, be the better person. Yet it would be one of Rob's first employers who would influence his career path.
My mentors, besides my dad and my mom, was my boss at Triple M Roofing. His nickname was Red Milanese, and he saw something in me, so I started going into the office, actually sweeping the floors when I was 14 years old. I just was one of those kids that couldn't get enough information or just learn more. I remember sitting at breakfast sometimes with the owner, and he'd be reading his paper, and I want to know more and more about why this, why that. Great opportunity to learn a great industry.
Rob attended the University of Arizona, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and found a passion for playing rugby.
When I was graduating, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. My dad said, come into the business, and my older brothers were in it, and my boss had said he wanted to open a branch in Atlanta, Georgia. So I loved roofing, and I was playing rugby. Long Island didn't have a rugby club, and Atlanta did. So actually my career choice was heavily influenced on the sport of rugby.
Just 21 years old, with the ink still wet on his college diploma, Triple M Roofing Corporation put their faith in Rob and moved him to Atlanta to start a new branch, and a few years later to Fort Lauderdale. But Rob's own entrepreneurial spirit was growing.
I knew I had a desire as a business major to possibly own my own business. So I actually borrowed $15,000 from my dad in 1983. I bought a pickup truck and said, I'm going to do this. And I just grew it with my brother-in-law from one pickup truck to where we are today.
Today, Advanced Roofing Incorporated is known across Florida and the Caribbean as one of the elite commercial roofing contractors in the United States, having earned the prestigious GAF President's Club Award. In 2007, Rob expanded his business into renewable energy solutions with the founding of Advanced Green Technologies. The companies now provide jobs to over 500 employees, including Rob's two sons, Kevin and Mike, who work side by side with their father in leading the business.
One of the best things I'm proud of, it's my two boys, Kevin and Mike. I just can't say enough how they came in, their work ethic, and I'm actually learning from them, and they've taken this business to another level I could have not done by myself.
Rob places high value on teamwork and integrity and works to create a culture that fosters both.
Culture is something that you can't find in a book, you got to create it. And our culture is work hard, play hard, do it right the first time, do what you say you're going to do. And we instill that, and we recruit for that. It's not cut corners, it's not anything but do it right the first time. And also having fun. You know, you got to joke around a little bit. That's kind of the culture we created here. And people enjoy working here at Advanced Roofing.
But one thing that Rob is serious about is giving back to the community through his involvement with the Dean's Development Council at NSU and his work with the Guy Harvey Research Institute to his involvement with the MS Society, Winterfest, Habitat for Humanity, the American Heart Association, Sunrise Mission, and Neighbors for Neighbors. Rob always goes the extra mile to help those in need. He says being involved with community and professional organizations is key to entrepreneurial success.
I'm a 20-plus year of Vistage. Vistage is an international organization of CEOs. We meet once a month. So one day a month, I'm working on my business rather than in my business. I think that was the most valuable thing I did. There's also the Young Professional Organization, YPO. If you're under 40, that's a great organization to belong to as well.
His final advice to students?
Well, advice for the students and the young people in the audience is from my favorite actor, Rodney Dangerfield. The movie's Back to School. Some of you might not have been born, but it's a great movie. Go watch it. And his advice to the graduating students was, stay in school. Can I get a show of hands? How many undergraduate students in there? Wow, quite a few. And then masters? Great. PhDs? Yeah. And the front row, they have a high school diploma, so just so you know. Okay, so just the first slide. One of the things I talk about in there is culture, and I'm going to talk a little bit about hiring practice. So when you get out there, or if you're out there, or you're going to be looking for a job, it's really important to have a great interview process, and you ask the right questions so you get the right people, and not only technically, but their attitude. You know, we hire for attitude, and that's really important. One of the tools we use is a DISC profile, and it really gives you, if you look at the 4 quadrants, you know, you have the D, which are drivers, I are influencers, S's are steady, C's are detail, and it gives us an indication during the interview process where their interests are going to be or their talents are. You know, C's are generally your, you know, detail project managers, accounting. These are your, you know, managers, or drivers. The I's are the influencers, or your salespeople, and the S are just people that just want to be told what to do, follow it, and all of them need to be part of the organization. So it's not a right, wrong. You know, and you know, one thing I'll just throw out there. There's a great book, Strength Finders 2. It's a Gallup poll, one of those highly sold in the millions. But if you haven't done a Strength Finder, Gallup's 2, I strongly recommend it. I think the book's $12 or $15 on Amazon. There's a thing you rip out in the back. There's a code. You go online, and you'll get a great report of what your top 5 things are. And if you're not sure what you want to do, and you take Strength Finders, or even you use it for other things, but I strongly recommend it. We just did all our executives and managers, and there's 32 traits, and this is a tool that we use in business that we just started using. Even after all these years in business, we really try to create new ways of being innovative and keeping everybody working as a team. What it will give you is, like, who's the idea guy, who is an influencer, who's this. So we did it and we charted it all out, and now we know, like, if you need something innovative, you go to the 3 people that are high scores in innovation. But strongly recommend that. Gallup Strength Finders 2. DISC is a profile. We see where people are, and we want to make sure that their profile aligns with the position. This happens to be person. The right side is they're natural, and the second is adapted. So adapted means when they get to work, they might move around. They might feel that they need to be more of an influencer, even they're a C. So these are just tools that are great that we use. One of the tools for interviewing. Another important part is to have the right questions for your interview. A lot of people, what would you do if a leak was in room 403 and you had to fix it? Well, we don't do that. Give me an example of a time when you had to fix a leak and the rain was coming in. So interviewing is very important. Interview questions, we don't use hypothetical. We always start, give me an example. So interviewing, I think, has been one of our key strengths. We interview for knowledge as well as culture. We do employee surveys. This is an example of a question that we're very proud of. This is a question, how likely would you be to refer a family member or friend? We're like 80% strongly agree. Normal corporate is in the 20%. So it's all about surveying your people and seeing what's on their mind and what it is. We all know that, pay, everybody thinks pay is number one. It's not. It's being part of a successful organization. We use technology. Saba is an app, a program, HR program, where we do all our goals, set goals with everybody. We have quarterly check-ins. I can go to my phone if I see someone doing good. Anybody in the company, I can hit and I can give recognition. So that is very, very important in retaining and getting good quality people. These are just some more questions. We actually, and there's an old saying, what gets measured gets done. So we measure how much recognition our managers are giving. So, and here's some reports on who's doing what. And then we have an executive committee meeting, and we hold each other accountable. Accountability is one of the toughest things in business. We actually scored very low. We score ourselves and the executive committee, which is about 10 people, and we scored ourselves very low. And for the last 2 years, we're getting outside, people that come in and talk to us, how to hold people more accountable. The Saba is one excellent way because you're setting goals. You're doing quarterly check-ins to see how they're doing against goals. But it is tough, especially if you're like a guy like me. I have a lot of empathy, and sometimes you just got to turn that empathy off and go to accountability if you're not getting the projects done or whatever the task is. Another report. Next. This is something that came out of. We were scored a little weak on communication to our people, so we had brought somebody in, Cassandra, to have us write what our expectations are, so we can communicate that to them, and they understand what our goals are. And this just happens to be mine. What leadership means to me, personal values. Then you have operating principles, priorities, expectations I believe in, non-negotiable items. This way it helps me because my empathy is high. I can go back to, hey, we talked about these are non-negotiable, and we can have a document that we talked about. Failing to prepare, just don't come to me with, jibber jabber, get ready. Failing to early, failing to play for a cause greater than oneself. I will not tolerate dishonesty or selfishness, personal idiosyncrasies. The true measure of my success as a leader is the success that each of you enjoy. So this is, some of the leadership stuff that we go through, and just out of experience. In the video, I talk about my Vistage group. I'm 25-year Vistage, and what Vistage is, it's a business group, international. There's, I think, 30,000 across the world. There's probably 4 in Broward County, 15 members around. Now it's a little light right now. We meet once a month. We have great resource speakers. This is where we get a lot of knowledge of what's out there, what big companies are doing, what little companies, what's working, what's not. And then we have our own, afternoon session. Hey, I got a problem with this. It's very structured. What's the issue? What's the possible outcomes? And then we talk about it. There's another one, YPO, pretty much the same thing. I strongly recommend when you start your careers or get into it, especially if you're going to be entrepreneurs, that you join a peer group. We do a lot with training. We're a big believer in training. There's just, and every industry out there, construction, I don't care what you're in, if you're not training, and you lose it. You can't just hire them, and this way you get what you want, how you want it, and what you want done. So some of our training programs, we have, these are crane training. It's endless. For every division we have some sort of training program. We do a lot of team building. We have, softball team. We have team building events. We have 7 offices in Florida. I went to Tampa last week with my 2 boys and my other executive team member, Clint, and we had an office meeting, and then we went axe throwing, and it wasn't at me. So it was at a board. If anybody's done it, it's a lot of fun. But we do paintball, bowling, and it's a good way to get everybody, together, and people like that. The steering committee, something we started in the early 90s. It used to be total quality management, and it's just continuous improvement. We started with the University of Chicago Graduate Business School and the National Roofing Contractors Association. It was a pilot program. We meet once every 2 months. We have someone from every division, and we work on how do we do things better. We have a suggestion box, and that's really crucial into being a better company. Safety is very important in everything. We have, same thing every other month, safety committee. One of the few companies that we actually have 3 safety directors. But what does that mean? It means we can market that we have one of the best safety records. We have a 0.58 modification, which is about 42% better than the average company my size. We get better insurance rates. People like it. Send our folks home safe. Quality control, same thing. It's not just me saying, do this, do that. I couldn't have grown. We grew from 0, we'll do $100 million in solar and roofing. And you can't build an organization by just yourself. You can, but I don't know how you do it, get the buy-in and the culture that you need. You empower people, everybody in this room, you get empowered, you know how you feel. Let me have it. You guys, especially in the High Senior Academy, and you start in your own little groups. I'm so proud of you guys. I want to hear more about it. When you get empowered and it's your company or you're working on a great team and you get empowered, but you can be held accountable, there's nothing better than that. And when you build a culture like that, good things happen. I get every quarter, 6 in the morning, I don't just do it for the office. I get out there and buy donuts, coffee, and we have prizes, spin the wheel, and I talk about the state of the company. What's the economy look like? What is, what are we going to be doing with work-wise? Talk about, employees of the month, jobs of the month, and that's another way to keep everybody empowered. I'm proud that you saw my 2 boys. My one son, Kevin, saw this coming. you know, first thing he did is start a succession plan. He graduated from FSU and then went U of M for his MBA, and Michael went to FAU business. So Kevin started an apprenticeship program with ABC, first one in the state, first one that get federally approved as well in the state of Florida. 3-year program. So you start out at 14, go up to $20 an hour, and and Broward College joined us, and they get, in 3 years, they can get 26 credits, an associate's degree. But this is where we have vision, you know, and that's one of the things in business, and we call it four stools of, four legs of a stool. There's vision up top, then you got to sell. Once you say, I'm going to be a best commercial roofing contractor in the state, then we're going to say, how do we get sales? Then you got your operations, and then you got your finance, and that makes the whole stool. You can't have one week, otherwise the stool won't work. They can wobble once in a while. You can fix things, but you know, it's all good. But my son saw apprenticeship. That is a big opportunity. Started here 6 years ago. We had a graduating class. We started in Orlando last year and Tampa this year. But you know, getting ahead and seeing trends. We know we have an employment problem in construction. We know there's good kids that aren't going to college. You know, let's put the two together. We got vets coming back. We do high school kids and vets, and we're training them and anybody else that wants to come along. I'm big on being involved with professional associations, and I go to meetings myself. I like people. I'm outgoing, but it's also learning from other people. So all these associations, you can see, I don't go to all of them. You know, we have people that go, but we belong. One of these is Roof Connect over there. I'll talk to that. I didn't think about that one. But when I almost sold my company in 1995 to a roll-up. We have a lot of roll-ups going on today. There's a lot of money chasing buying companies. They get a call every month. You want to sell, and we don't want to sell. But back in the 95s, there's a big rush on that, and I almost went in one, and then the stock market crashed, and the roll-up didn't go. So I was very lucky that I kept my business because, you know, my kids weren't in it yet. But we had the vision of Roof Connect, that a bunch of guys, 12 companies came together and said, what if we put together a national program where we can service national accounts like the Walmarts, and then we can do best practice, 24-hour service. Each person had their service region. So today we're 12, 14 years old now. Depends when we actually incorporated, but so we have this business model where my service region is about Jacksonville through Orlando all the way to the Keys. It's incremental business. National accounts love it, but again, it's just getting a vision and saying, how do we make this thing happen? And it's been great for us in hurricanes. You know, we can rely on other Roof Connect members can come in from other states and you know, help out. We use that in you know, when governments, UCF, University of Central Florida had a bid, and we had our interview, and we talked about how we can bring people in for hurricanes, and that made the difference. So, but again, it's all, you know, you gotta think outside the box, and what else can you do? I'm on the board of these organizations, and again, it's not that I like my name on a board. I go there because I can contribute and I can learn from others. I think that's real, you know, important when you get to where I'm at. I'm blessed that I have my two boys in my organization that I can do more in the community. So when I can sit on a board that I like, which you can see NSU, Dean's Development Council, Dick Dodge and Dr. Shivji are here tonight, and I love doing that. I was we brought a group that helped raise money. So I was in Panama marlin fishing with Guy Harvey. You know, so it's not too bad. And then, you know, when you're good, you want to put it out there. You know, we have a marketing guy that, you know, puts us up for awards, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you do great work and there's somebody out there that wants to put your name in for an award, we do it, and we've been good at it, and it helps the reputation and the brand. It helps recruiting other employees. And we talked about the community service. I ride my bike for 15 years. We raised a lot of money doing that. and just on and on. We got a bunch of charities that we are involved in, and it's just not me, it's all our employees get involved in it as well. One of our, let's see how we doing up here. You know, one of my son came to me about 12 years ago, said, hey, we got this solar panel, it looks like it can stick right to a roof, and they're doing it out in California. So we ended up looking into it, we got distribution rights for it, but I didn't want to just be a me too and then have them, other people sell it. So we went and got Dade County approval, Florida approval, so nobody could buy that product without going through us. So it was a good business model with my Roof Connect, my National Roofing Contractors Association. We knew a lot of contractors. We started training them to install this product. And that was all good until the big crash of 2009 when the financial crisis happened. And this is probably one of the true entrepreneurial things that we did. We actually got this product, and when we got the rights to Dade County in Florida, we agreed to buy 1 megawatt a month from these guys. Well, the reason we did it, worldwide they were sold out. There was a 3-month backlog, and the solar market in Europe was red hot. We agreed to buy $3 million worth of product a month, and we had 0 sales. So we said, well, if we get to 15 million, we'll get a little nervous. So we got up to inventory about, I think it was 3 megawatts, 9 or 12, and then the manufacturer we're buying from, hey, the big job in Spain, General Motors has once, they need it because they need to get the incentives, they need like 3 megawatts, like perfect. So we start shipping that, they needed more, everything's going really good, and then everything hit the fan with the stock market and the financial crisis. We kept on taking it. We made some bad decisions. Instead of unloading it, blow out costs, we still took it. And, you know, it ended up costing me a lot of money. This watched, millions of dollars. But I don't complain about it. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you take risks. What it did for us, it got us into the solar business, and today we're the largest in Florida and one of the top 50 in the country. So those are things entrepreneurs do. We got a thing called lessons learned. You know, we talk about it at post-job, what we learn. Monday meetings, you know, we had something happen on a job, what's the lessons learned? And you just figure it out and go forward. Some of the carports, this is Lockheed Martin. We were selected out of 8 other contractors to do it. That's the solar. Yeah, that other one was FIU. Other one of my risk takers, and it's still, the jury's out on this because I don't know what's going to happen. But someone came to me and said, hey, you want to invest in this product, makes hot water and electricity at the same time. So I said, sure. So I'm like 5 times over where I want to be. About $6 million into this company, but we're talking to a company in India. We have an MOU to have them manufacture and license in India, talking to another one in Brazil, another one in China. So, well, you know, next time you see me, how'd that power panel go? But I don't know yet, but feel pretty good about it. But I don't think it's going to be a home run. But, and you know, my partner, who's the inventor, our storage tanks, he took our storage tanks, cut it in half, and now we have an aquaponics system. You grow fish and plants up. So any of you Heising Academy guys that looking for a project, you can market this. Go back one. Another thing, another project that I'd be willing to talk to someone serious about is the use of hot water. We produce 8 times the amount of hot water than we do electricity, but we're using 80% of the sun power because of the heat that we're getting in the storage, and we have the best storage tanks in the market, and we call that our thermal battery. So there's so much you can do with hot water and stuff, and we're willing to talk to any of you guys that want to do, or girls, ladies, want to get into a new venture. I think you can find a way to make money with these products. Another one, Solyndra. I don't know if you guys who's around for it, but when President Obama was elected, he loaned this company Solyndra money, And boy, he took a lot for it. They ended up going out of business, but the backstory, because we were Solyndra distributors, it was brilliant. It was a tube, and light would bounce off from underneath and all over, and they had a great product, but they got caught up in the downturn, with the big market, so their cost to manufacture, was higher. They didn't get to the point they needed to, and I don't know how you, as an entrepreneur, predict something like that crash. Had they not, they probably would have been in business. And, it's kind of ironic how politics plays in some of these things that, they were really, the first money came from the previous administration. The last 500 million was private money that went in, but, he made a bad decision. I don't think he did. I think at the time he made the best decision because they needed money, and we need more. We need to use the sun for the future. This is that Flexlight product I told you about. They unfortunately they got caught up. They were out of Detroit. They had the little solar thing in Texas. Casio calculators back 40 years ago. That was that little thing. That was their amorphous technology, but that's that other one. So it's one of those, lessons that they learned. I think they made some bad decisions. They could have stuck it out, but they didn't. There's disruptive technology out there. I mean, you got to be able to look ahead. We're coming up, with 5G. I don't know what it is. All I know is the last resource speaker told me is this is like the rate of change in 2020, the 2020s, the next decade with 5G is going to be it's going to be like, 30 years of what happened behind us. In 10 years, it's going to be the rate of change. So if you're in school, what's 5G? I want to get into that. What can be done with that? There's a great video. I don't know if you can read this, but I'll try to get it to somebody. It's a 45-minute video, and they show a 1900. There's one Model T and all the horse and carriages. That's how they got around. And then 13 years later, there's one horse and carriage and all these automobiles. One of the biggest disruptive technologies there was the automobile. So this whole video goes into first battery storage. The battery storage is going to decrease by about, I think, 13% a year. And that is happening now with all the Teslas and all the batteries. And then you have electric vehicles, where that's going, and then autonomous vehicles. What's it going to look like? Do you really need a two-car garage? About a three-car. You need a two. You need one. You got Uber. So where's that going? And then the last thing they talk about, solar. So we recommend you look at that YouTube video, and that's where I would be looking. As you're going through school, and what's the future going to be like? Just real quick, going back, I've been involved in disaster recovery in the Bahamas, and I can tell you we did this video. I don't want to play it, Channel 7. We took them over there, but my partner ended up going there with a load the day after we could end Thursday. From end of Tuesday, we flew over Wednesday. We couldn't land. We brought goods over. We ended up taking the wife of my partner goes in, and there was a family of 4 and 4 dogs. We end up putting them on the plane, taking them home, and we've been running. That's my son's boat, running goods over. We've helped get the celebration out of Palm Beach. The first trip out on that Friday, we took 1,200 Bahamians back, brought goods over. We just did our second trip this weekend, left Sunday. It's actually sailing back now. But anytime you can get involved in any type of event, especially when it's in people in need. I mean, the people I've met in the last 2 weeks and the things that we accomplished. I was on that Grand Floridian. Got a call the night before from a previous guy. He's out in the hall. He's also a honorary Joe Farrell. He called 8 o'clock. We went over yesterday, meet the Senate person from the Bahamas handling the FEMA, the emergency. She's only had no job for 7 days. She's like, guys, how can you help me? And we just, she was in a bind, so we helped out. But that type of stuff is always good to give back. And that's all I have, and I'll take whatever questions that you would like to ask me. Yes.
Hello, my name is Dave Clark. I'm a freshman. Thing that I wanted to ask you, would you say that success comes from you creating symbiotic relationships in business?
I think, yeah, relationships in all my associations, and then even the relationships you develop and the respect you develop with your own people within the organization is as important. Because, you know, as one person, you can only do so much. So it goes back to that culture drive. We actually have, our culture, we describe it, do what you say you're going to do, all these things. And when you drive that into your organization, you know, everything else just follows. And you gotta walk the talk. Do what you say you're going to do. That's big. You know, the 24-hour rule. You know, don't send an email without giving it 20. If you're hot, don't even send it. You know, just the other. We got another one. PUT. P-U-T. Pick up the telephone. Don't get involved in an email. You know, and copy everybody in the world. After 2 emails, PUT. Pick up the telephone. You know, so. Yes.
I have a little bit of a personal question. I can relate to you.
How do I lose weight?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, family business. How do you deal with conflict amongst children and yourself?
Yeah, great question. So when I first, I got married, so that was my second wife. So figure the rest out. But we did a lot of marriage counseling. So this is personal, right? So, and I was always a big believer in counseling. So when the kids came in, we actually I looked at our business counselor, but we actually used the same one, and we would meet, you know, every other month, and you give time to listen. And today, it's we meet with our business consultant, and we work on vision. He's a great guy, Jim Solyndra. I should have talked a little bit about this, but to your question, you know, he comes in and at the end of the year, what does success look like for 2020? Well, we want to be 10% growth. We want like another point on the bottom line. You know, all these metrics, you know, half a dozen, and then the one other partner leaves, and it's just me and my boys and Jim, and that's where we have this forum. And I think with families, if you don't do some sort of forum, whether you need it or not, don't wait until you need it. So do it every time. We leave it. It's right on the agenda. Family time, half hour. So, yes. Well, behind you first, and you second.
Hello, my name is Laura Andre, and I have a question for you pertaining to entrepreneurs that I've met a few that are great at marketing and sales, but have not really harbored a skill. So would you recommend that any entrepreneur that is going to run a business, even if they understand the science behind handling finances and managing people, would you recommend that they do learn some type of skill that they can hone into in order to?
I think I understand it. You know, and I think that if you're good at, you know, business and sales, you gotta have passion about what it is you do. I believe it or not, I loved roofing. When I didn't say it, I wrote it this morning when I was thinking about things, where I came from. But I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and my oldest went to 1 year and didn't go any further. But, you know, we built dune buggies. I loved my shop class. So I didn't really pay attention of thinking about college. I was a C student. I went to the only college that would take me, State University, upstate New York. So, but I loved roofing. So I had something to go with. So yeah, I would, you know, you have to have the vision. I go back to that one. If the vision, you know, you have to fill a need with a product. You know, I had someone today tell me, well, he's gonna, he's gonna, I forgot what it was, something that I just asked him, you know, how many times does that, oh, I know what it was, an electric vehicle. And that, you know, you can take this thing and you can plug in anywhere, and it's great. And I drive a Tesla for 5 years. I'm like, what's that for? I plan. I know how many miles I got. I know where I'm going, you know. So the product, you know, so you can't have a product that I don't think anybody's going to sell it. If you got an electric vehicle, you know, you plan what you're doing. So anyway, yeah, technical, you know, you have to have the product. You have to have the vision.
Hi, I'm Frank. I'm a freshman here at Nova. I want to know, could you think of an ethical dilemma that you faced in the past year in running businesses?
You know, if I had one, you know, I had a guy that was an independent, you know, developed sales rep, you know, and he wants to bring me a job that, you know, I'm going to take care of this property manager, and it's just like, no, you know, just like it doesn't fit, you know, even though it was like $1.5 million job, I don't care, you know, you can't compromise, you know, someone told me, if it looks like it's going to be on 60 Minutes, don't do it. So. Over there.
Hi, my name is Christian Derek. I'm just wondering, so I found it interesting that you kind of went from roofing and then you expanded into solar products in your company. And recently I saw how like Tesla is starting to do solar roofing panels and solar, like the actual roofing tiles are solar. Do you see a future in the roofing industry of combining roofing and solar into one product where it kind of works like that?
You know, I think so. Yeah, I absolutely. Solar has not advanced that much, and what Tesla's doing and what they're saying they can do it for is their product is going to be very, very expensive, probably 2.5 times of what you could put a regular solar. But there's solar tiles out there a little more expensive. But I think that, you know, I've been hearing nanotechnology, paint, you know, nanotechnology. I think they're going to do it, but it's not going to be in the next 5 years. It takes a long time because, you know, I didn't want to get into the R&D business, but I did with Power Panel, and I just know how long it takes to develop things. So, and that's what, when I saw solar, I mean, it was just kind of a no-brainer, you know. We're up on the roof, you know, and I said, and we came up, roofing sells solar, solar sells roofing. Well, you're doing a roof, how about a solar system? Or you want a solar system, we're going to put it on an old roof. So those are the things that we did. Yes?
So how did you change the culture to have better accountability? Because my organization, I feel like, we're lacking accountability. So how did you get to changing that culture?
Yeah, Jim Soderner actually helped us. We had someone outside, and we did some surveys and where we are. We all, executive committee, you know, we had a lady come in and actually we all did a profile test similar, but it was gauged to accountability, and we all knew where our levels was. There were 4 things. It was called shifting gears, and she would say to us, okay, you know, this is when you're in this situation, you know, he's got to back off, and, you know, accountability. So my advice is really look for a good source that could do that. And we have people in our Vistage group, and that's the beauty of Vistage. I can put something out. Who has a good coach? But we had a great coach, and our scores, you know, I think went from we grade ourselves from like a 7.1 to an 8.1, but it was the lowest score that we graded ourselves, and we're pretty honest. We're very honest with ourselves, and especially when we do surveys and our people are saying it. Yes.
Do you have a preference, VIST over PI? In my Vistage group, we prefer PI. I just didn't know if there's any reason why you would choose VIST over.
Honestly, we use both. I just happened to, I didn't have enough time. PI is a great one as well. Predictive Index, you know, it's just, we use DISC for a phone interview, you know, and if we get past that, because DISC is 40, I don't know numbers, but a lot cheaper, and then we do, if we're getting serious, we do both. Yeah. Yes.
So going off the question of the solar panels, so do you as a company provide any incentives for the customers to do solar panels or anything like that?
We still have federal tax credits at 30%. So you buy a $20,000 $6,000 system, you get 6,000 from, plus some depreciation. So we don't offer it, but there are sales, federal tax credits. Some states have, bigger tax credits. We do not. Cost of solar is coming down dramatically. So that's why that disruptive video, if you look at it, they predict by 2030 the grid's going to be gone. So, I don't necessarily believe that might not, maybe 2030. And with the cost of solar coming down and the ability to store it, that's why that video is so important. And as that storage comes down further and further, they can't compete with the electric companies. Even a great company like FP&L, people think I'm crazy, but if you look at what their rates are compared to other, they only have 50% of the state, and compared to the other 50% and the country, they run as a monopoly, they run a mean machine, and they're building more solar than anybody, and wind farms. So. Anybody else? Yes.
My name is Michael. I'm a freshman, and I want to know what the hardest adversity that you had to overcome was.
Hardest. There's stuff every week. There's just you get we got a crazy condo board up in Jupiter. I think the hardest one was the downturn with 2009 when I was sitting on $15 million of inventory, and I watched it go in half, and my ex-wife wasn't happy. You can laugh, that's okay. But it gave me it toughened me up a little bit to be more conservative. I run hard, and I'm a shoot, aim. My one son Kevin's already aim, shoot. So we got a great team now. He wasn't there then. So I think that was the downturn with the solar panels, having that much in stock and just couldn't sell it. And the banks, even this is another lesson. When you got to borrow money, look at all the covenants that they say. Because we came off Hurricane Wilma, made a ton of money. Katrina hit up in New Orleans, and then Wilma hit down here, and there was just nobody. Normally the storm chasers come in; they were all up there. When we just, had to pay more, but we had such volume. I brought in Roof Connect members, and so that, the bank was like, "I'll give you a $20 million loan for solar panels. That's a great idea. You're a great businessman, Rob." And then the downturn hit, and it's like, "Well, you know what? You're out of your covenants." What are you talking about? We're only going to give you $2 million worth of credit towards those solar panels you have in your warehouse. I'm like, well, that wasn't the deal. Yeah, read your contract. 25-year relationship with SunTrust. So watch what you sign for. Don't sign anything. The lesson. Yes.
Would you say because of that event that it changed your perspective for a betterment of understanding of your business?
I would say more on it throttled me back on risk, that experience, and don't trust banks. Yeah.
Okay, my last one. Between your personal life and your business life, have you allowed your company to become your life? And if so, how do you detach from all the expectations that people place on you?
Yeah, I think, and that's a, great, life-work balance, right? And, when I look at people that say, well, why don't you sell, the market's hot? There's something called quality of life, right? So you don't want to be married. I don't want to be married to some, I shouldn't say this, I'll say a Harvard Business School graduate, not an NSU. You guys would be great to work for. But can you imagine, like, I'd have to work for somebody that comes down and tells me how to run my roofing business. So the quality of life in that aspect. And then, it just, again, I have twin boys and a grandson that's 6, and, I have a good life. I work hard, I play life, I get to fish, dive, work. I still work 70 hours a week. I'm married to my phone and emails. I went to Greece by myself a few years ago, and I never shut it off. You know, coffee and looking at emails is my relaxation. You know, I'm not recommending that, but that's who you know, my DNA is. All right, you got time?
One more, she's been asked one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you over there.
I was just asking about, well, I wanted to ask about the disc again, because disc is something that I love so much. I do the activity with my fraternity, like every year, once we get new prospects in. So I was just asking, when you said you incorporate it into the interviewing, and then you mentioned to the gentleman over there that you use it during phone interviews, could you give more concrete example? Like, do you just ask, like, do you feel you're direct, or what that looks like?
Yeah, so the initial phone, we don't bring anybody in without at least a half hour to an hour phone interview. And if they look good, we'll give them the disc beforehand. And then we can, you know, we can kind of interview towards, if you use disc, you know how that works. You know, if you're doing a project manager and they got, you know, way below the line C, you know, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. We still, but his references are unbelievable. You know, he could be a D. So we just like, you use it to ask questions, and they actually give you questions to ask. I never use those. I come up with my own, you know. Tell me a situation where you were running a project and, you know, you had to put in a app, and, you know, I just create, tell me an example. So he's got to say, well, I was doing, you know, the Navy base, and, you know, so they have to answer specific questions towards that, something that doesn't look right. And if they give me a good answer, I'm like, okay, we'll continue. If he's right, and, you know, and says, well, you know, I run my project on a napkin. What are you talking about? And I was like, next. Yeah, yes.
I'm a professor here. I teach management, and I teach strategic management. And we know that companies which don't change and transform and keep up with changes in the external environment are really bad. It's pretty clear. They stick close to their strengths, existing distinctive competencies, existing strengths, and don't change as the external trends require them to change, they will die out. And oftentimes I tell in my class, well, I give a lot of examples, I tell them it's better to be more agile and be like a chameleon, and live in the future, depending upon what the external changes are, and not build on what you think you're doing. So dispense with the traditional advice that's given to you, which is build on your strengths and be more hungry for new knowledge, understand the external changes, and be like a chameleon and keep on with the changes that are required of you. So which would be a better thing, build on strengths or be like a chameleon and continuously evolve?
Yeah, so the question is, you know, when you're managing your folks, you know, is it better to build on strengths or be more fluid? And, you know, we're adamant, you know, that we don't call anything weaknesses in any type of goal setting or anything. There are opportunities for improvement. So, you know, we build on strengths, but if there's opportunities for improvement, we're going to write them down. We're going to make goals on how we're going to change those. And then we're going to do quarterly check-ins to see how you're doing against those. And if the opportunities for improvement, can't call myself, doesn't get overcome and they're not performing on their team, then you just got to make the decision. Now, what did you say you use a disc for? Sorority?
We fraternity, we're co-ed, so
Okay.
we take the male benefit. But we use it in the activity, not like the actual test, but where it's like 4 corners of the room,
Right.
everybody splits up.
Sure, that's great. But one thing I wanted to mention with the disc is there is a section, I think I might have touched on a little bit, it's the communication tips. And if you're a manager, and we have everybody that has taken this, and it's the do's and don'ts for communicating. And I've had situations where the D's and I's just don't, you know, D's like, just don't get along. So, you know, and like, have you read the communication tips? And, you know, they read that and they both read it, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, that was a great idea. And it was just like right there in front of them. So the communication tips, if you use the disc, have you done that? And I'm sure you have, right? Yeah. Anyway, that one there.
So this is going to be my last question. My question is, at what point in your life do you think that you're going to retire from your business, and what is the proper way that you would automate your business before you retire?
What was the second part?
How would you automate your business for your retirement?
Yeah, so literally my company's set up where I could get hit by a truck tomorrow, and it would continue with the management. A lot of people don't have succession plans, have, even at your age, whatever age, if you don't have your affairs in order, i.e. wills and all that, you're crazy, I've explained to my kids my wealth and what's going on and what I expect they can do. So we have succession planning. The retirement question, I kid around, they'd have to kick me out. I'm having too much fun. As long as I can do what I do and still work, I have no retirement age in sight. 61, so 62 in weeks. Birthday party here. Yeah. All right.